We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs. We would have the overwhelming impression that we were reliving the present, déjà vu, perhaps in precisely the same way, hearing the same words, saying the same words. I submit that these impressions are valid and significant, and I will even say this: such an impression is a clue that at some past time point a variable was changed, reprogrammed as it were, and that because of this an alternative world branched off.
Good afternoon. This is Robert Phoenix coming to you live and direct from South Central Texas in the beautiful city of Austin. It's just after noon here, and want to wish everybody a happy, fine, warm, wonderful day, and hope you're all enjoying it. The weather here is beyond insanely gorgeous right now. It's about 80 degrees, not a cloud in the sky, natural or artificial, and just a slight breeze to keep it all moving along. Another day in paradise. Welcome to the show. It is Wednesday, and on Wednesday we get into astrology, and we tour around the stars and have a lot of fun with what's happening up there and in there, because there is no separation really, is there? As above, so below, as within, so without. And so there it is. But we will do our best to put the pieces of the puzzle together and make it as enjoyable, intriguing, interesting, and enlightening as it can be for both you and me, because we will be spending the next 2 hours together, so we may as well enjoy it, right? That's what I'm talking about. Today we are in Gemini, and let's just do a quick rundown of where the stars are. Let's see, so I just pulled this up. Let me do another tab here, because I also want to do some birthdays. And there's one birthday today that I really want to recognize and shout out, and I might even play something related to that birthday. Okay, we've got 15 degrees Gemini Sun, 12 degrees Taurus Moon. Can you feel that moon? I can feel that moon. That's an earthy moon. We just came through the... This was about last night, which is the most exalted degree in the zodiac, which is 3 degrees Taurus as it relates to the moon. I've talked about that in the show before. Mercury in Cancer, 8 degrees. Venus, also in Cancer, 3 degrees. So we have this really nice, intuitive, and empathetic symbiosis going on between our ability to communicate and share with other people. It's a wonderful time to step out of the box and tell people that you love them and care about them and support them. The stars are really in favor of that today. Mars is at 3 degrees Gemini, and Mars in Gemini is a trickster. I posted this link up on Facebook. If you don't know, if you listen to the show, you can also catch up with me and a bunch of other people over on Facebook. Robert Phoenix. I'm one of about 500, I think, on Facebook. But I might be the most popular Robert Phoenix there. Don't take my word for it. Go there and find out for yourself. But I posted this thing on Facebook yesterday. I think I might put it up on the site too. It's a very strange story. It's a story of a transgendered Navy SEAL, a woman that became a man, and it's really pretty trippy stuff. And I thought to myself, well, 2 degrees Mars Gemini, of course we're going to get a story like this, right? We're talking about dual identities and bifurcation and split personalities and sexual reorientation and reassignment and all that stuff. It's all there. It's all there in this one piece that was just spewed out into the internet yesterday. This is the kind of world we're living in now, where we're getting these absolutely on the spot, real-time reflections of what's going on in the stars. It's happening all the time. I mean, all the time. There's a lot of Uranus and Aries happening right now too. There's some amazing inventions that are coming out, and these are actually good things. These aren't the oppressive, tyrannical Uranus and Aries, pieces of bullshit like genetically modified, you name it. That is really the monster in the box. So these are actually really cool things that are being developed by everyday people. I think last week I posted a meter that you can actually, it's like one of those tricorders that you have on Star Trek. Remember those tricorders? I think, who's the guy that was the tricorder specialist? It might have been Spock. He was the guy that had the tricorder, right? He would go onto the planet, or was one of the other people on the show that may or may not last the entire episode. They got the tricorder sometimes, and they'd hold out that tricorder, and the tricorder would take a reading of everything, oxygen levels, life forms, all that stuff. So there's a virtual modern day tricorder now that will be available, where you can take it to a market and hold it over a piece of fruit, and it's going to tell you if it's genetically modified or not. I mean, on some level, it's extremely cool, and on another level, it's incredibly frightening. Because why do we need this? And yesterday, I put a bunch of stuff up on Facebook about the hypocrisy of the establishment, especially Dr. Oz. What a name, huh? Dr. Oz. This is the guy that gets up there on Oprah. He's got his own show now. But Oprah has boosted these health professionals and their profiles to the point where they have their own shows. It started with Phil McGraw, a.k.a. Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil, who has a dubious background. He has a degree in psychology, but it's like from some, internet college or something like that. I mean, it's not that bad, but let's just put it this way. He didn't go to an established school. And not to say that you have to go to an established school. I mean, you can, look, I know that there are people that don't have any degrees, and they are as tuned in and turned on and wise as any psychiatrist you'll ever see. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a degree to help people. But I think that when a person conflates their background and their importance, and it shows up or turns up to be something less than what they purported it to be, then there's a reason to be a little suspect about who they are. And there is a case of that with Dr. Phil, by the way. Although not as bad as James Frey, and certainly potentially not as bad as Elie Wiesel, who have both been on Oprah. James Frey, of course, he was the guy that wrote his book about ending his alcohol addiction and making most of it up. And then we have Elie Wiesel, the guy who was supposedly at a concentration camp, and there have been a number of people that were at the same concentration camp that don't even know who this guy is, totally refute that he's ever been there. And yet his book is a New York Times bestseller, and Oprah Winfrey continues to promote and support him. And then we have, obviously, Dr. Oz. All of these guys have very suspect and dubious backgrounds. At least James Frey could write. That much we can agree upon. But Dr. Oz came out and said that organic food is bullshit. farmers markets are bullshit. I mean, he was aggressively attacking Whole Food. So it was a day of that yesterday on Facebook. I posted a bunch of stuff like that. Maybe it's it was the Venus in Cancer, the Mercury conjunction. Who knows what it was? Mars, again, we'll just stop there. 3 degrees. Gemini, conjunct Jupiter and Gemini. Jupiter moves out of Gemini shortly, folks, and into Cancer. Let me tell you, that's a new day. That is a brand new day. Seems like Jupiter's been in Gemini forever, doesn't it? At least it feels like it to me. Jesus. Forever and ever and ever. Trickster Jupiter in Gemini. Anyway, it's close to being over. And when it moves into Cancer, we're going to talk about that. It's going to kick off a grand water trine. We'll talk about that a little bit later as things progress. Saturn, I think it's close to being done at retrograde. It doesn't get past 5 degrees, so we'll begin to move forward soon. Let's just get a quick glance at when Saturn moves forward. This is a very significant Saturn, if you haven't been paying attention yet or noticing. I just put up a post on the website yesterday about the influence of Saturn in Scorpio, which I'll talk about. Let's see. So Saturn moves forward here. Let's get a bead on it. It goes to 4 degrees, my bad. It goes back to 4, and it moves forward on the 8th of July. So we're going to be experiencing the birthday of this country with Saturn retrograde and Mercury retrograde, along with Neptune retrograde. Uranus retrograde and Pluto retrograde and Chiron retrograde. Those are all happening on the 4th of July. That could be a tricky time, to be honest with you. Very, very tricky time. This year, the moon will be in Gemini, and Mars will also be in Gemini. And I don't believe they'll be conjunct because the moon will be very early, 2 or 3 degrees at the most. So the 4th of July, circle that on your calendars because that could be a very, very tricky moon. We get into the grand trine, the grand water trine, on the 14th of July. That's when it really picks up. That's when the Jupiter is at 4 degrees, Saturn's at 4 degrees, and Neptune's at 5 degrees. It's a very, very tight water trine. And that peak lasts really for about 3 days at that exactitude, from the 14th through the 15th and the 16th. And then the first planet to break ranks, obviously, is going to be Jupiter. And that's on the 19th, but still very tight within 1 degree. So we can actually go back and look at the degrees leading up to, which start on the 10th, maybe even going a little further back, the 5th. So really about from the 5th to the 22nd. By that time, Jupiter's moving forward to 6 degrees and beginning to kind of separate itself slightly, although Saturn moves forward as well. Saturn kind of keeps pace a little bit with Jupiter, but Jupiter's much faster and does eventually outpace Saturn. So this is actually a really positive and very powerful time in terms of a collective awakening. But I also think that before we have a collective awakening, we need to have a collective reckoning. And it's some of the conversations I've been having on Facebook have been kind of randomly mind-blowing because of what's going on and what people are feeling. And one of the things that I keep coming back to is that the types of posts, and I know that this has to do with the fact that I've, pruned my friend list, and I don't really go out looking for friends anymore on Facebook. I did that when I first got to Facebook. I thought it was the thing to do. I wanted to have friends, right? And so I went out and I looked for friends. It kind of mirrors one's own emotional development. And then after a while, I stopped looking for friends, and if the people wanted to be friends with me, then that was fine, and I'd be happy to accept their friendship. So based on that, I know that I'm going to get certain types of posts and certain types of content that are going to reflect kind of who I am. But that said, there is still, excuse me, something really interesting happening there. And the interesting things that are taking place are people are talking about a type of sustenance, a type of organic living, a type of intelligent relationship with the environment, a type of conscious awareness about resources and who has them and how they direct us or try to tell us what to do in terms of these resources. I'm telling you, people, you can talk to a number of different people and say, oh yeah, people are waking up. Yeah, I really don't believe that. And if they do wake up, well then so what? It's really just going to be more of the same, isn't it? I mean, aren't people just going to be herded into a pen for awake people versus a pen for unawake people? I mean, there's a deeply cynical sentiment out there that suggests that it's all for naught. And I don't necessarily agree with that at all. Although I do think it's easier to guide and steer people once you've got their emotional signal. And if you've got their emotional signal, then you can kind of move them around, right? If people are really adamant about something in a way that is almost like overcompensating, then they can be taken advantage of. So just for me personally, and I think maybe in general, it's probably good to be able to be kind of cool with it a little bit. So if you're into something and you really want to see it grow and happen, you can have and cultivate a kind of dispassionate passion, if that makes sense, right? That you are involved and you want something to emerge, but at the same time, you're not necessarily willing to stand on a parked car and throw Molotov cocktails at the people that tell you that your idea is wrong. So I think that that we're in this place right now because I keep seeing these posts from people about this. There's a yearning, there's a desire to return to a much more organic and unified state of consciousness, emotional expression, love. I think we've had it. I really do. I think we're over the 20th century. And the 20th century had some great things about it. There's a lot of promise and hope in the 20th century. There was a lot of striving. There was a lot of experimentation and rat racing. And sure, there's going to be some of that going on now, but things are shutting down. I mean, if you haven't noticed it, America is shutting down. They say that there's more jobs. I don't necessarily believe that. There's more income coming in, but there's less jobs. The jobs reporter said, no, it's not really. What's taking place now is some of the jobs are starting to come back from China because China is getting really close to having too much wealth for its own populace to create cheap products and goods. So they're having to ship jobs back to the United States. And some companies are actually doing that. Not a lot, but some are. And we're also seeing a rise in automation in a really big way. So that means less jobs, more profit for companies. Now, there are jobs here where I am in Texas, but they're not the kind of jobs necessarily that an economy wants to be proud of. I was just in Houston. This kind of ties into our show a little bit today, talking about water. I was just in Houston a couple of weeks ago, and Houston has added more jobs to the economy than any other city in the United States in this past year. Well, why is that? The reason why is because it's the center, it's the capital of oil and gas. And what are they doing throughout the entire United States now? They're fracking. They're fracking like crazy. And so what do they need? They need people to be able to operate the fracking equipment. They need people to be able to transport the fuel that they extract from these fracked areas. They need people to haul in bottles of water to the people that live in the fracked areas because, unfortunately, they can't drink their drinking water anymore, so they have to get their water from the oil companies or the gas companies that are destroying their water supply. So they need to bring those guys in there. They also need all these little businesses, satellite businesses, to support these shanty fracking towns, these fracking shanty towns that have risen up, very small temporary structures where people go in, they're there for 2 or 3 years, they mine the shit out of an area, and then they're gone. So those people need food, they need, everything else that goes along with living that kind of life, including black market goods, hookers, drugs, alcohol, you name it, they'll show up there. Although I'm sure in those places they do take some drug tests. So Houston has a ton of jobs, but they're the wrong kind of jobs in some ways. This is what I'm getting at. And by the way, the fracking issue is going to be big. It is going to explode. And the reason I say that it's going to explode is because my sense here is with this grand water trine coming up, and also with the Pluto-Uranus square, that we'll probably wind up seeing a situation in the not so distant future where one of these fracked areas will literally explode. Something will happen. It'll be much more dramatic than a sinkhole, and some of these sinkholes are epic. But that's part of what is going to happen, or what could occur, in order for us to kind of realign what's important. And the trine, the grand water trine, is a realignment of what's important. It's a realignment of values. It's a realignment of emotions. It's a realignment of where you hang your hat and what the quality of your life is. But for this to occur, there has to be some kind of reckoning. And I don't mean it necessarily in the religious sense of what a reckoning is, like the last days and the rapture and all that stuff. But I do believe that there is some kind of reckoning that we have to go through in our lives, individually and also collectively. And I know that I have, and I think other people have as well. I think we're at a point in time where we're looking at what makes us happy, or what has kept us from being happy is not really the best word, but what keeps us from being fulfilled, what keeps us from tapping into our source. What is the distraction? What is the splinter in the mind that keeps us from really fully unlocking who we are? And I think if we step back long enough, we can begin to see those agents in our lives, who they are, what they do, how they do it, how we let them do it, and how really they're just an aspect of who we are anyway, and that they're taking up space as a role, a projected role in our lives in order to teach us something. And it's classic mysticism 101, but that's really the case. However, on an emotional level, detached from this kind of mental observation of the dynamic at hand, we have to emote, we have to grieve. We have to grieve. We have to have a collective grief. And it's not a collective grief based on some kind of bullshit, simulated, manufactured, trumped up, actor-based crisis. That's not going to do it, okay? Those are crocodile tears. You can't get real, true emotion out of something that's simulated, at least not long term. You might be able to yank people around a little bit, but after a while, there will be a lack of resonance and the well will dry up. I think people know that too. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about something very real. We're talking about something very personal. We're talking about something very profound. And that is a grief moment, a collective grief moment. And what does that look like? How does it feel? Like I said, each of us will go through it on our own, but we will have some manifestation of it as a mirror, as a collective mirror for what we're going through. And it could be anything from, looking at, and I'm just talking about the United States. I'm sure there's also a global collective moment too, because we're all in this together, right? But cancer rules this country, at least the sign. The industry does perhaps as well. But it could look like, we come to some realization about what happened with the Native Americans, the first people here, and how they were pushed off the land, which is a karma, by the way, I don't think we've completely cleared away and dealt with. And I think the result of that is our relationship with the country in the Middle East, which seems to be doing the same thing to us on a psychological and economic level. It's just karmic payback. That's all it is. So it could look like that. It could look like, hey, look at these people. Look what we did to them. Look what we did to their land. That could be part of it. Or it could be something else. It could be the fact that all of a sudden, the 100th monkey, as it relates to a soldier coming home from the Middle Eastern war theater, comes back and shocks the hell out of everybody and says, that's enough. That's enough. We can't continue to do this. We can't continue to send our sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, husbands and wives now over to that place. And maybe it triggers inside of us the monstrosity and the tragedy of what war actually is, and how it's really just profit for, it's actually protection for profit. And that's a really hard one, because in this country we're so indoctrinated to respect the troops and give thanks and for all the sacrifice. I mean, it's like it's one of the institutions in America that is almost nearly bulletproof. Almost nearly bulletproof. Man, you can't speak poorly about the troops and their efforts to keep us free. And I mean, if you do, and if you're a celebrity or you're somebody that has some kind of public face, I mean, you're slapped down. You're a bitch slap for that. But unfortunately, and this is another sentiment on Facebook that was being starting to be expressed. Unfortunately, fortunately, there are people that do talk about this and do bring it to light that it would be a lot better if these people didn't have to go to war. If they didn't have to fight. If they didn't have to lose their limbs. If they didn't have to come back with their brains scrambled and feeling bereft and cut off and left out and abandoned. It'd be a lot better. It would be a hell of a lot better. Can the two be non-mutually exclusive? Can we support them and respect them and say, and yes, we're kind of tired of you having to go through this. Let's find something else for you to do. There's something else. There's something better taking place. Let's move your energy over here. Let's move it away from that. Is that possible? I don't know. I think so. I hope so. Maybe it's one of those things. Maybe all of a sudden people wake up to the fact that this is madness. And then we have this collective grieving. Who knows what it is, but there is some kind of reckoning coming, and it won't be bad. I don't think it'll be bad. Because like I said, I think we're all kind of going through it in our individual lives anyway. So the theater of the outer is just a reflection of the inner. So what else is happening astrologically before I went off on that little trip there? Hold on. How about some birthdays? Today's the 5th of June, as we all know. Today's birthdays include, let's see, anybody interesting? Yes, somebody extremely interesting. And I might play 6 minutes of 2 hours of the most concentrated genius you'll ever experience. Today is Marky Mark's birthday, Mark Wahlberg, who has become a famous actor. He grew up as a little toughie in Boston with his brother Donnie Wahlberg. And both Donnie and Mark had a connection with New Kids on the Block. Obviously, Donnie, full-time. They brought Mark in for a little bit and they threw him out because he was too obnoxious. Let's see. Anybody else besides Mark Wahlberg today? Bill Moyers. Today's Bill Moyers. Everybody loves Bill Moyers, don't they? He did a great interview, or a series of interviews with Joseph Campbell. But he's still around and doing his thing. Today is the birthday of the late Spalding Gray. And some of you may not know who Spalding Gray is. But Spalding Gray was a spoken word artist and a monologuist and a storyteller, and he was one of the best storytellers of all time. I mean, of all time. He was funny. He was captivating. He had a great sense of rhythm and structure and timing, and was kind of like the version of Will Rogers on LSD for my generation. He's a little bit older than me. And I first saw Spalding Gray in a film called Swimming to Cambodia. And it's about his time on the set of the movie The Killing Fields. He was an actor. He had a small role in The Killing Fields. Roland Joffe, who was the director of that, liked Spalding Gray, so he cast him. And then Spalding Gray did a whole other movie based on his experiences of being in The Killing Fields or being part of that movie. That movie was directed by Jonathan Demme. Unfortunately, in 2000, Spalding Gray went missing, and they later found him floating, I believe in the Hudson Bay or Hudson River, Hudson Bay, in New York City. He'd gone on one of the ferries and jumped off the ferry and committed suicide, which was a terrible loss because he was so talented. But he lived with such an amazing edge with his life. So what I want to do now is, I know you're here for astrology, and I see a lot of people are stacked up. I promise you I will do some readings. Okay, but I want to play, this is in honor of Spalding Gray, because in a lot of ways, I probably wouldn't be doing my radio show. You wouldn't be listening to me now if in some ways it wasn't for Spalding Gray, because he gave me the courage, inspired me to be able to talk. So let me play this, and hopefully we can get through this without it really being, hold on a second, let me just make sure I know where I am. Okay, hold on. This is Swimming to Cambodia, Part 1. And it's about 6 minutes, okay? And I know you're all here for astrology, but I want to play. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to save this. I'm going to play this at the end of the show, because some of you are really here for astrology. You're not here for Spalding Gray. I was just having a Mercury in Cancer, Venus in Cancer moment. I was feeling you. So I'm going to play this at the end of the show, and you'll get to hear 6 minutes of genius and my tribute to Spalding Gray. Okay. So why don't we do this? Why don't we just jump right in and start doing some readings for people? How does that sound? Does everybody like that? All right. I got two people from the 718 area code. One's been on for 31 minutes. Let's bring them on first. Hello there. Hello?
Hello.
Hi there.
Hey.
How's it going?
It's going well. How are you today?
I'm good. What's your name?
Janelle.
Hey, Janelle. So where is 718?
I'm in Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Okay, so we got two people from Brooklyn calling back to back. All right. So have you called into the show before?
I think sometime last year.
Okay. All right. So let's get into you. Why are you calling today?
I'm kind of looking at career and romance stuff right now.
Romance. CNR.
Yep.
Okay. Let's fire up a chart for you here, Janelle.
Yep.
Let's go to. Let's do this one here. Okay. All right. And there we go. We're gonna plug in your information right now. When were you born?
12/18/85.
18 and 12. 1985.
Jamaica, New York.
What time?
7:24 a.m.
Right. Jamaica, New York. Okay. There it is. Jamaica. Okay, so for you, I have Sun in Sag, obviously. Moon Pisces, is that right?
Yep, that's right.
And ascended at 27, Sagittarius. Yeah. So, career and romance. Well, let me look into my crystal balls, Romance should really pick up. I mean, are you with anybody now?
No, I just got back into dating recently, so I'm testing the waters.
Well, your timing is good because Jupiter's about to go into Cancer. And when that happens, it slides into your 7th house, which is the house of relationships and partnerships.
Yeah.
So that's good. I mean, and it's going to be there in your 7th house for about close to a year and a half.
Okay.
So you have a fair amount of time to get reacquainted with the dating scene. Now, the interesting thing about you is you're a curious mix of independence, because Sagittarius is a very independent sign. You have Sun in Sag and Mercury in Sag and Venus in Sag and Uranus in Sag. Lots of Sag going on in your chart, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and what else? Oh yeah, and Saturn. I mean, come on now. You've got 5 planets in Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is probably the most free-spirited of all the signs. And it doesn't like to be tied down. It doesn't like to be pinned down very much. So a type of partner you need a type of partner that has a sense of adventure and can be inscrutably honest, because Sagittarius also values honesty. So these are very important things. Somebody who could be athletic and, get out and do stuff with you as well. Very important. Travel, like I said, have a sense of adventure. But the tricky part is that you have Cancer in your 7th house. You've got Gemini on the cusp. So think of whenever we have like a house that's split, so to speak, like the angle of the house or the descendant would be one sign, and then the majority of the house in another sign represents kind of an interesting dynamic, in that with Gemini on the descendant, you need somebody who can be smart, witty, facile in terms of being able to do things, definitely not boring, engaging, conversational, intelligent. Those are all really important components. That's like the honey that attracts, the person that you're interested to. These are the things that you're looking for on some level and are attracted to. But when we get into the 7th house, there's another layer to that, and that's Cancer. And that's very different energy than Gemini. And people that have Cancer on the descendant are looking for relationships that nurture them, looking for relationships that make them feel safe, because that's a really important component to any Cancerian piece to the chart, whether it's the sun or the ascendant or especially the descendant. So the type of relationship ultimately that you're looking for, sort of beneath the conversation, the chatter, the going out, the having the coffee, the dating, the dinner, the going to the jazz club, whatever. Beneath all of that is somebody who wants to nurture, be nurtured, have a home, start a family. These are all very Cancerian traits. And it's great to have Cancer in the 7th house, provided you find the right person who is willing to, quote unquote, help you feel safe and secure. And we get so hung up about these kind of male-female roles, right? Like women, like, I don't need anybody to make me feel safe or secure. I'm an independent woman. But really we're like men and women. And my experience is most of the time women gravitate towards consistency and people showing up in relationship, and they gravitate towards having some kind of nurturing center that makes them feel secure and safe and allows them to open up more and to unfold more and to unfold like a flower, and all these petals that just keep unfolding because they can relax in the radiance of the sun, right? I mean, that's what it's kind of about. And unfortunately, we've become so fractured. I'm sorry, I'm riffing now. But we've become so fractured in our society that what happens is that, there are some women who think of that as being, kind of a malediction or disease. Like, I don't have to have that. I'm strong. I'm independent. Yeah, and then there are men who are like, screw that. I've done that before, and I've just been taken advantage of. I'm just going to be cold. I'm going to be callous. I'm just going to get what I want, and I'm going to move on, right? And this is kind of, unfortunately, to some degree, how relationships have degenerated in our society. And, we're learning about it. I'm still learning about it. And for you, in your chart, the most important piece that you may want to take away from this is that embracing the fact that it's important to you to have somebody who's consistent, have somebody who's nurturing, and have somebody who makes you feel safe is okay for you, especially with your seventh house Cancer. Your seventh house has 3 signs associated with it: Gemini, Cancer, and a bit of Leo. So the challenge with that, though, is that you've got all the Sagittarius, right? Sagittarius is free-spirited, it's adventurous, don't tie me down, and yet you want to have this other piece in terms of relationship that makes you feel grounded, keeps you grounded, makes you feel safe. And the very different energies, Sagittarius and Cancer. Cancer can be clingy, if you find somebody who does want to hang in there, stand up, sit down, be with you, and nurture you and support you and be consistent, sometimes those people can be really clingy people too. So you have to kind of, I wouldn't say watch out, but, it goes with the territory. So the key for you ultimately is to be able to find somebody who can hang in there with you, who can, stay at home with you, but at a moment's notice, go run off and climb a mountain in South America with you. That's the mix that you're looking for. And with Jupiter in your 7th house, you're going to find it really, truly over the course of the next 5 to 6 months. You're going to have opportunities for those kind of people to come into your life. Okay, let's talk about career now. Saturn is in your 10th house. And anytime you get Saturn moving through the 10th house, it is a peak experience, a peak opportunity for you in order to make hay while the sun shines in terms of your career. Now, Saturn right now is sitting exactly, it's actually 2 degrees off, but backwards, on your Pluto in your 10th house. You have Pluto, Mars conjunct Scorpio in your 10th house. That's a powerhouse conjunction in your 10th house. I don't know what you do, but with Pluto conjunct Mars in the 10th house, you can do just about anything. And when Saturn is sitting right there in your Pluto, it's asking you, really, what do you want to do? What do you want to do with all this power? It's like that Flaming Lips song, what would you do with all that power? This is the most important question you can ask yourself right now. A lot of times, the Saturn-Pluto transit can indicate a tremendous upheaval in one's life. And Saturn has already passed over Pluto once in the past 6 months for you, and that would have happened in November, December of 2012. And that can really shake things up, especially the first pass. Whenever Saturn moves over Pluto, people can lose jobs, they can lose homes, they can lose love affairs, they can lose loved ones. Whatever it is that is not meant to be in their life, the Saturn-Pluto conjunction will knock it right out. Now, Saturn is going to be moving forward. This is what I was talking about earlier. And for you, I believe the conjunction will take place in August. That's the final pass of Saturn over to Pluto. So whatever it is you're doing or not doing with your career will be sorted out by then, either by you or by the universe, one of the two. Somebody needs to realize what a powerhouse you are. Somebody around you. It's either who you're currently working with or somebody. I'm getting somebody else, though. It feels to me like it's somebody that knows you but doesn't really quite know you. But they need to recognize what a powerhouse you are, because you are a powerhouse. You've got a tremendous, Mars, we're talking Mars in Scorpio, Pluto in Scorpio. This is nothing to sneeze at. This is high level, executive, dynamic, enduring, powerful, transformational energy that you have and you can bring to any job. The challenge for you is a lot of those Sag planets are in your 12th house, like your sun, even though your sun is kind of on your ascendant. It is on your ascendant by 1 degree, which is good. Still, there's a challenge to get you to come out or to be seen, to be recognized really for who you are. And there's a kind of a level of genius, too, with Uranus and Sagittarius in the 12th house that doesn't always get to come out as well because it's hidden. It's sextiles Jupiter in your second. You're very, very bright. You're super bright, and you have really, really good ideas. You've got to put those ideas to use. I would say on some level, too, you're kind of a natural with psychology with Mars, Pluto. What do you do, or what kind of work are you into?
I'm an acupuncturist.
That's powerful. That's great. That's Pluto-Mars conjunction for that? Yeah, that's on. What do you do? So what are you doing with that right now?
Well, I'm basically building my own practice right now. So the struggle of, building something from scratch is where I'm at. And it's fun. Like, I enjoy it most days. But then there's also, like, there are days like this where I'm beat.
Yeah. Are you... Okay, so you're doing this alone, or is that like?
I've been doing a lot of outreach and events, and I do have a really good mentor who is, helping me to get out there, and I have a space, but still wanting to do more to really get the foundation stable and growing.
Got it. Okay, so what I would suggest is you get a partner. You have Libra on the midheaven, so partnerships are really important to you. It doesn't need to be another acupuncturist. It could be an osteopath. It could be a craniosacral therapist. It could be a naturopath. Find a partner, and find a partner where you can maybe share space with, share advertising costs with, share marketing with. Maybe it's somebody that you don't necessarily want to compete with, like I said, or maybe there's somebody that is very close to what you do. Like maybe you want somebody who does chiropractic, or form of chiropractic, and work with them. Find a way so that you can defray costs. And because you're with Libra on the midheaven, partnerships are highly, highly that's what I'm looking for. They're very important and strategic for you. So don't sleep on strategic partnerships. And it wouldn't be a one-off either. It wouldn't be like, hey, maybe you could try it like that. Like maybe there's somebody within a 5-block radius of where you are, or 10-block radius, and you say, hey, let's run an ad together. Let's split the cost. Maybe you could start off with something like that, but it could go even further. And you guys could, make your lives easier by sharing costs for, more than one thing. So look for that. Try that out. Try that on for size.
Okay. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. You also have, Chiron and Gemini in the 6th house at 11 degrees. So you are a healer. But it's Gemini and there's Chiron there. So again, working in concert with somebody else would be good for you. And I think the message here is you won't lose yourself if you bring somebody else in. You'll still have your own unique perspective and skills and gifts and talents and all that.
Okay. So just keep powering through it, huh?
Well, you can't do anything else with Saturn on Pluto and Saturn on your Mars. What if I were to say to you, well, hey, Janelle, I really think you should become an airline stewardess. What would you do?
I'd be like, well, if you can pay my student loans, you can do whatever you want.
Exactly. So you're too far down this path, all right? Too far down this path.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah. Hey, look, you're going to be fine. You've got Pluto transiting your 1st house in Capricorn. It's in mutual reception with your own Pluto. It's a little off right now. It's about 5 degrees off, but it goes back. And in November is going to be a very interesting time for you. Very, very interesting, because that's when Pluto is actually back at 9 degrees within a 3-degree orb of your natal Pluto. So that could actually lead towards some kind of expansion. Think partnership, okay?
All right, I'll do that.
Okay, you take care.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, let's stay with Brooklyn. Let's take another call from the 718. Hello there.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the show. What's your name?
Ashil, A-S-H-I-L.
Hey, what's going on there?
I'm just trying to get a reading, trying to see what's coming up in my career and love life.
Okay. Let's get your coordinates. Hold on a second here. And why don't you go ahead and give me your birthday?
August 2nd, 69.
Okay. All right. Type this in. And what time was that?
1:45 a.m.
And where did you take your first breath?
Oh, it was in Africa. I was born in Africa, in Brazzaville.
Which city? Brazzaville?
Yeah, Brazzaville.
Oh, beautiful. All right. Excellent. Okay, so I've got you at Gemini Ascendant, 7 degrees, Sun Leo 9, Moon Aries, second, or 2 degrees. What's more pressing for you, your career or your love life and your emotional well-being, which sometimes are independent of one another?
I would say for my love life.
Okay, why don't we focus on that? Let's see. So Saturn is getting ready to leave your 5th house. And that can be a good thing because Saturn in the 5th house is like fun and romance and kids and poetry and passion. You know, it's ruled by Leo. When Saturn shows up there, it can be a real drag. And Saturn's been in your 5th house for a while. It went back into your 5th house at 510, about 11 degrees Libra. So that would have put it right around 2000 and probably about the early part of 2010. Okay, so you've had Saturn in there for about 3 years.
Yep.
And that would have definitely put a wet blanket on any kind of fun. A lot of times when you have Saturn going through the 5th house, you have to delay your gratification for whatever reason, either work, or you're working through some challenges with a past relationship, or sometimes there could even be a challenge with children involved, and that you have to sort out some dynamics with kids before you can move on. Well, it's getting ready to move on. It's at 5 degrees, and by the end of the summer, it's moving into your 6th house, which should bring you a bit of relief, actually, and you can focus on other things. This actually ties into work, by the way, because the 6th house is the house of dharma and purpose and in work, health and healing. And so the emphasis is going to shift. And, you know, nature abhors a vacuum. So when Saturn moves out of your 5th and you really begin, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like, okay, if I had to pick one thing in my life right now that I could focus on, what would it be? It would be, let's just say, for instance, you've hit this dry spell and you're going through your emotional desert. You say, okay, I've just got to give this up for a while. I'm going to focus on the work piece because maybe it's the one thing that I can have something to do with and have some influence over my life, which will be the case, by the way, when Saturn moves into your 6th house. Now, when that happens, what will likely occur is your love life will change. And because you'll have more of an emphasis on your career, more of an emphasis on work and making money and making ends meet and trying to find something that is of value to you. This is how life is, right? Once you stop chasing something, guess what? It shows up. So when that does occur, and it will occur by the end of the summer, you're going to say, okay, I'm just going to focus on what I need to do. Then somebody shows up. And I would say at that point in time, it would be really good for you to begin to stick your toes back into the pool a little bit, but not necessarily go too deep, because your focus is really going to be on work. And Saturn, you're not going, well, Saturn's going to be coming up on your Neptune, and it's going to be hitting your Neptune at the end of 2014. And that's a pretty important transit, actually, because of where Neptune is in your chart. You've got a very nice grand trine between Mars and the Sun and the Moon in your chart. It's a really nice fire trine. What Saturn does, this is a very important passage here, when Saturn moves from the, looks like 5, 10, 9, about 10 degrees of Scorpio and passes over your Neptune, that there is a working out of kind of old residual patterns around work, finishing up things that you hadn't really completely finished up before, either in this lifetime or in other lifetimes. And then it hits your Neptune. And once it hits your Neptune, all of a sudden, things get very real. You're like, okay, all right, I'm done. I'm done with whatever it is that I've been doing in order to get by, in order to make ends meet, in order to kind of clean up my karmic slate. Because that's what Saturn crossing Neptune is. It's kind of a spiritual reckoning in some ways. And then Saturn, when it moves into Sagittarius, it's going to be part of this grand trine, this grand fire trine. And for me, that's a major moment of taking off for you. It's like you roll up your sleeves and you say, all right, I am going to do this. And that this is going to be a very important time in your life. And I'm not sure what you're going to be doing at that point in time, but I think it really has to do with long-term sustainability and tapping into your fire. You're very creative. Anytime you get a grand fire trine with the sun and the moon in Aries, and Mars in Sagittarius, which is extremely optimistic and can be hopeful, Sun in Leo, again, very positive. You have a lot of creative power and a lot of passion. And this Mars transit, once it moves past Neptune, is going to make you really focus on that. The challenge for you is your emotions, because you have Chiron conjuncting your moon up in the 10th house. And the Aries moon is a very passionate moon. And Chiron just over your moon makes you a little less open with you being able to show your true emotional content or true emotional value. People that have Chiron conjunct the moon can be very cautious about revealing kind of who they are in some ways. And when they do that, it can be very awkward, because there are times when it comes out and people are kind of startled by just how passionate you can be. Have you ever thought about being an actor?
Not really. I mean, I did a little bit more modeling side in the past, and I didn't really like that kind of world, because I've seen some things I wasn't really into it.
Yeah.
And I did the commercial aspect and more of the modeling side of it.
Yeah, I could see that. That actually may change for you. And I'm not advocating that you go back into acting or modeling.
Well, I get offers all the time. It's funny that you say that. Even today, I still get offers to go back.
That might change for you, because I think that there is. I think you have a future in acting, and not modeling, and it's tied into that moon up there in the 10th house, and you have the true node. You have true node in Pisces in the 10th house, and there are two signs in the zodiac that are that comprise the best actors in the world, and it's Leo and Pisces, and you have both in very prominent positions. So I think that when Saturn hits that Mars of yours, something interesting is going to take place. Now, the other thing too is that you're going to have Saturn true node trine, and that's coming. That's at the end of this year. Saturn, I believe, gets up to 20 degrees in Scorpio, so that's going to trine your Pisces up there, the 10th house. Saturn in Scorpio, true node in Pisces. You've got to do something artistic and creative. That's really what your chart is all about. And this Saturn trine to your true node is going to help you out. It's going to give you the strength to believe in yourself and know what you can do without necessarily getting swept up into the bullshit. On a money side, or on the money side, Jupiter is going to be transiting your second house. Anytime Jupiter transits the second house, money comes into people's lives. And it depends on what you do and how you do it to the degree with which money will come in. Money will come in. Resources will come in. You don't have to worry about that, okay? But you ask yourself, well, how can I push it along? What can I do to make more? Well, that's it's a good question. At that time, you would want to get involved in anything related to Cancerian goods and services, anything from restaurant work and feeding people to working with women in any kind of capacity, either with women in fashion, women in shoes.
Let me say this. I have a business, and it's a fashion business that I just got into like 2 months ago.
Good. Good. Hang in there with it, okay?
Yeah.
It's going to pay off. That's that Jupiter coming into your second house.
Yeah.
So stay with that, okay? And this acting thing might be related to maybe what you want to do. Just think about this, okay? Maybe what you would want to do in order to help promote your business would be to make YouTube videos, which would be mini commercials, and you would be the person who would be.
Oh my God, that's funny you said that, because that was something I was thinking about. Starting, have a new men's line that's in the works. I was thinking of just modeling it myself.
Okay, now we're syncing up here, right? Now we're clicking. So I wholeheartedly agree with you to do that, because I think your star would really rise and you would take off and you would do it on your own terms. It's a little bit of acting, but really it would also help you promote your business as well.
Yeah. Wow, that's funny.
Okay?
Yeah, sounds good, because that's something I've been thinking about lately, actually.
Well, here I am to confirm that for you.
And I truly appreciate it.
To get into that sixth house, let me just say this really quickly. You have Venus at Gemini at 28 degrees. So Jupiter's going to pass over your Venus here very shortly, like in the next few days. So this weekend, my friend, could be a very fun weekend for you. All right?
Fun weekend? Okay, I'm looking forward to that.
Don't socialize. Don't stay home, okay?
Okay. Yeah, actually, I have an invite on next Monday also. So, I wasn't sure if I was going to go, but I think now after what you just said, I will go for sure.
You need to go. It will be good for you professionally, and you'll also meet some very interesting people that might play a future role in your love life as well.
Wow. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. I'll make sure I go back to the archives.
Okay.
Listen to it again. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. It is 1:02 here in South Central Texas. You're listening to Navigating the Astrological Matrix. I'm Robert Phoenix. I'm your host, navigator, and fellow traveler. We're all in this together, aren't we? Let's see. I've got a new post up on the website. You should check it out. Maybe I'll read it before the day is over. I also do this professionally. This is what I do for a living. This is how I put gas in my car and food in my kid's belly. And you can set up longer private readings with me through my website. And my email address is robertphoenix@robertphoenix.com. Very simple. robertphoenix@robertphoenix.com. All right, let's go to the 208 area code and find out who's there and what they want to talk about. Hello.
Hi, Robert.
Hi.
This is the gardener.
Hey, what's going on, girl?
Well, let me give a big plug for your private readings. When I was stuck in the blizzard, you gave me the most fantastic reading. I'm still chewing on it. And coming into my new area, I've been inundated with water. You told me to, settle by water.
Right.
And water's been settling by me. I've been in 2 tornadoes and several deluges in the past month.
Right.
And actually, I found the tornadoes to be quite invigorating.
Interesting.
The sirens I could live without. They test them all the time too.
Right.
But yes, I found it quite invigorating. Energy.
Well, yeah, they will keep you on your toes for sure. So, other than the fact that you've been inundated by water and you're dealing with the cyclonic forces of nature, how are things? How are things going?
They are going, and the reality that my life could change so dramatically in 1 month is very amazing, very good. I'm glad. I've had a lot of support from you and others, and I'm in a nice little dwell. My pets are healthy. We're happy. All I need is to find a good sustaining job. And I've been hungry for and received a lot of female relative help and support,
right,
and love, and that's what I was really hungry for and needed, and that's what's happened.
Well,
I'm actually living very well. My biggest question with Saturn in my fifth, and I was just listening to your good review of the other persons having Saturn in their fifth, is my child, and I know he's got Saturn around his Venus, and I was wondering if you could do a quick little read on him. He's in the middle of relocation, too.
Okay. Let's do this. What's his name?
His name is Sheridan.
Sheridan. That's a cool name.
Thank you.
When's his birthday?
December 5th, 1994.
And what time was he born?
9:57 p.m.
Okay. You still remember that day?
Oh, yeah.
And where was that?
In Ojai, California.
Oh, interesting. Were you hanging out with Krishnamurti?
Krishnamurti had been gone for a while. It totally changed the whole energy of the Ojai Valley when he moved on. But yeah, I was real familiar with Oak Grove and everything.
Mm-hmm.
In Ojai.
All right.
Lots of Krishnamurtiites.
So I have him at Leo Ascendant 22, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then Moon in Aquarius, yes?
Moon is 28 Capricorn.
Oh, my bad. Capricorn. Okay, 28 Capricorn and then Sun Sag, correct? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're talking about his fifth house? Is that what you want to know, or just about him in general?
Well, my Saturn is going through my fifth house and, affecting all kinds of creativity in children and everything.
Yeah.
It's on Saturn's been hovering around his Venus.
Yeah. His Venus is in the third house, right? And the third house, especially in terms of what you're going through, is he thinking about moving to you or some other place?
He's moving to Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the challenge with Saturn over his Venus in the third house is difficulty in letting go of friendships and relationships in his immediate area. That's what that is. And that's his biggest struggle, is letting go of the connections that he has. But
he has some pretty heavy ones.
Yeah, but it's important for him, though, because, by the end of summer, Saturn will have crossed his true node and then moves into his fourth house. And he needs to be rooted when Saturn moves into his fourth house, because he's going to be going through some major changes, right?
Oh, wow.
He's going to have Saturn going across his Pluto, Saturn going across, how old is he?
He's 18.
I think he's going to meet somebody, and I think he's going to meet somebody, and he's going to get very serious at a very young age.
Well, he's got who I consider to be a very true love already, and they've been together for 3 or 4 years.
Is she going to
very seriously?
Is she going to move with him?
That's where he's going to.
Okay. Well, he's going to be with her in Salt Lake City.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So this is exactly what I'm seeing. It's going to get very serious. Like I would not be surprised if she has a child.
Really?
Yeah, I'm serious about this. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I can. I've never been a proponent of anyone hooking up really young, mainly because I did it. But with these two, it's very incredible relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a Gemini.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He has had very, very good. He's had many very close relationships with other Geminis, which has surprised me. And today is his opposition day and moving day.
Yeah, well, he just needs to get out of there, and the challenge has been leaving behind friendships, relationships, connections, and moving towards his true node. I mean, his true node is right there on the cusp of the fourth house. So he is meant to be, and I don't want to use this pejorative term, but he's meant to be domesticated. You know, even though he has all this Sagittarian energy in his chart, it's all down in the fourth house, and his true node in Scorpio, fixed sign, right? Fixed angle. The home is like vitally important to him, and having strong.
Right, and he's been put through the ringer right alongside with me.
Yeah.
And with our home. And when I first had his chart made right after he was born, I saw all of that heavy action in the fourth house.
Yeah.
And with Pluto there, it was all, it alarmed me.
Mm-hmm.
With like the potential of violence and Mars in his first house. And we have experienced a lot of very strange kind of targeting against us in our home zone.
Well, that's over now, and
right,
and it's going to be over for him too. I get a very strong feeling that he will be involved in a lot of really interesting, fun, pleasurable, and exciting outdoor kind of experiences in Salt Lake City. Everything from like being a tour guide to maybe a ski instructor to leading people on bike tours. All those things open up for him there in a big way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, he's a very personable person. Everybody remembers his name. Everyone likes him. He was very good in our business.
Mm-hmm.
I was happy to see that. He really is a great singer.
Mm-hmm.
And started working that this last year. I was really happy to see him get into the choruses with all the other parts. He really did like that.
Right.
And I thought he would. But, yeah, it's been, these changes are so outrageous, and I'm not a real controlling mother.
Right.
I'm pretty loose. But, yeah, when you don't know exactly where your child is and exactly what they're doing, it bothers me.
No, I understand. I understand completely. So the other thing, too, you'd also be really good at rehabbing houses and building things and fixing things and turning them around and making lots of money. So certainly encourage a little bit of that on his part, too.
With him making a lot of money?
Well, but doing it via flipping properties. He's got Pluto conjunct Jupiter in the fourth house in Scorpio. That's all about transforming homes, transforming, living structures, and making really good money out of it. So, encourage him if he can do that. If he has any kinds of aspirations or skills in those areas. He has Chiron also in Virgo in the second house, and that's actually quite helpful towards that end as well, because the second house represents, land and things like that. And Virgo, Chiron is about making things nicer, more perfect, cleaner, all that stuff. So anyway.
And so where did you sing a baby coming out of this from?
Well, I just see that as in the fourth house, Saturn crossing Pluto, crossing Jupiter. There's just it's fecund with fertility. Plus, he has long-term relationship harmony with the Venus Saturn trine in his chart. Pluto also, by the way, in his fifth house, which is children. And having children, and so it's Capricorn, Pluto Capricorn, so he could be a young father, right, with Pluto in his
right.
Yeah. So there you go. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, and yes, I've told several people about your the reading you gave me and how incredibly important it was for me in strengthening. Got me back on track, to the future and now, not then.
Right.
So I've counseled several people who are in same relocation needs as I was, and I haven't forgotten about Lawrence. I've been keeping it. I didn't pay attention to whether the tornadoes hit them too.
Right.
Hit that area, but it's funny. I've known a couple of people from around here who have known people that recently moved to Lawrence.
Mm-hmm. Well, you just got to be where you need to be, wherever that is, right? So if you're feeling drawn to be around, you're...
I'm feeling very temporary.
Yeah.
actually, and it will be, I'm really still sorting it out and getting regrounded, but it would basically be based on work abilities.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, and it'll come up. You'll get the signal, you get the call, and then you'll be on your way. That's just how it works.
Right. I'm just now sorting it out. What I've done a lot with your help. I thank you again. And yes, so now I just need to find a job.
Okay. Well, listen, you hang in there, and
I am. Yeah. Thank you so much. That made me feel really good about my son.
Yeah, he'll be okay. Okay.
Okay. Good deal. Thanks, Robert.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, let's go to the very personalized handle, Nakota Wayshower. Here we go.
Hello.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
Oh, you're the woman with the lovely accent. I remember you.
Oh, bless you, bless you.
So what's going on?
Well, that's what I'd like to find out, please.
Well, yeah.
I'd just like to see, what's coming up, because it's my birthday next week, and I'd just like to know what's going on with work.
Uh-huh. Okay, let me see if I can go back into my files here. Aren't you like a healer or something? You've got some kind of magical healing powers? Okay, hold on. When's your birthday?
13th of June.
13th of June. In what year?
64.
Okay, you're a dragon. And what time?
7. Was it 7-7? Yeah, 7-7. I think it was.
7-7.
Yeah, I think it was, or 7.
7-7. Okay. And where?
High Wycombe.
Wickham?
High Wycombe.
High Wycombe, okay. High and then WY, right?
Yes, COMBE.
High Wycombe. Okay, there it is. Not to be confused with Middle Wycombe or Low Wycombe. Okay, there you are, in all your splendor and glory. So where are we looking at now? Your
work.
You're looking at work. Okay, so well, okay. Well, there's a number of things that we could focus on here. One of the things is Pluto transiting your second house. And when it's been there for a while, actually. It's been there since 2009. And whenever Pluto transits the second house, or somebody has Pluto in the second house as a natal aspect, one of the things that we're supposed to learn from that is to face our fear. And because the second house is all about, it's root chakra related, the second house. It's ruled by Taurus. It's the most fundamental sign. It rules like growing food and bowel movement, potty training, and dirt and all that stuff, right? It's, precious metals. It's all fundamental value-based material. And when Pluto moves into that house, it stirs up any number of fears that we have, which all of which, by the way, are related to death. But so it could be fear of failure, it could be fear of being left alone, it could be fear of rejection, fear of isolation, fear of abandonment, whatever those things are. Pluto going through that house is really tempering the individual to face them and to deal with them. And that's been going on for you since 2009. And the good news, right when Pluto did that, okay, in 2009, it was immediately opposed your true node and immediately opposed your Venus, both of which are in the 8th house. So you want to go back to like February, March, April of 2009, maybe a little bit out, maybe May. And at that time, your identity and your relationships were severely threatened and challenged. Maybe you ended a marriage, maybe you ended a relationship. You had to deal with being alone or facing the world on your own. But over time now, Pluto's moved forward, and it's gotten up to 11 degrees today as we speak, so it's in an exact trine with your natal Pluto in Virgo. It does move backwards to 9 degrees and it moves forward again. So the reason why I'm bringing Pluto up is because the trine between the two, right, is very fortuitous. And I've spoken about this, especially for people that are born in the early to mid 60s, where Pluto is in Virgo and Pluto in Capricorn is now trining that Pluto for this generation from like 1959 to about 1965, 66. We're getting kind of a second wind or second breath in our lives. And the reason that happens is because the universe wants to fortify you for the next 20 years of your life. And so you're getting a lot of strength in terms of, how you want to reorder and restructure your life. And because you've chosen this healing path with this amazing Pluto-Uranus conjunction that you have up in the 9th house and all of that wonderful, powerful healing energy in Cancer in the 8th, and of course Mars and Taurus in the healing house, which is the 6th house. I mean, you've got all these things lined up to do very nice work. Pluto is here to help you. The Pluto transit is all about endurance, all about hanging in there, and especially when Pluto gets closer in 2014, it gets to 12 degrees and begins to get really close to your Jupiter in Taurus with a trine, okay? And you get that Pluto-Jupiter trine, and that's going to go on for you for almost 2 years. It's going to be one of the most productive times in your life, to be honest with you, with that Pluto-Jupiter trine. Hopefully we'll all still be here. Hopefully we'll still have a currency that we can trust in and bank on. And if that's the case, then you need to push forward. You need to expand whatever it is you're doing with your healing work. Do you actually touch people? Do you work on bodies at all?
Yes,
okay.
Physically and absently.
Yeah. So with the Pluto Taurus trine, it actually favors physical. Okay, the Pluto Jupiter trine favors physical, and I know it's probably easier for you in some ways to do it remotely, do the remote healing stuff. I get that, but it's the physicality, right? It's the touching. It's the there's something about it. You may even at some point decide because Pluto in Capricorn is very executive-like. You may want to employ people. You may want to start your own center where you have 2 or 3 or 4 other people, who can offer a different kind of work. Like maybe somebody does, Reiki, somebody does Lomi, somebody, you know what I mean? I mean, you split it up a little bit, and that way you can help and foster other people while also making some money off of promoting them and helping them with their services. So I would actually encourage you to look at that as well, because you can only touch so many bodies in one day, right? I mean, there's a limit to that, just like I can only do so many readings in one day.
Yeah.
So if you can expand that and join forces with people and help promote them and get paid at the same time for the work that you do, that could actually be a really, really good thing. So again, it's just funny because I'm having a very similar conversation with you as I did at the beginning of the show, and you have Libra in the 10th house. So some type of partnership or some form of partnership would actually be very beneficial and helpful for you. Now, your midheaven is still in Virgo, so you're still dealing with, healing and nurturing and serving, but the ability to make that easier for yourself would definitely be highlighted by, having somebody else or having other people, work with you in that. You also have Saturn right now in your 11th house transiting, and that's a very sort of group-oriented, Aquarian, based effort kind of deal. So I would look to network right now. I'd look to find people. I'd look to link up and see who I can join forces with for sure, because Saturn goes back to 4 degrees, which puts it in the trine with your Venus in Cancer in the 2nd house. This is a great time to make partnerships and form alliances, and you want to do it before Saturn drops back down into your 12th and then hits your Neptune, because whenever Saturn goes into the 12th house and hits Neptune, people go dark for a little bit. And luckily for you, it's not for very long. So you want to get all this stuff set up, right, before before that happens. Also, by the way, Mercury's going to go retrograde in your 8th house. So you know, starting on the 26th, don't want to sign any contracts from the 26th for the next, really for the next month after that. So any contracts you sign should be after the end of July and the beginning of August, okay?
So from the 26th of this month to the end of July, don't sign no contract.
26th of this month to the end of July. That's correct.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense because I'm actually going to be starting a new a healing group.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's Saturn transit 11th house. You want to make those connections. You want to make those contacts, and you know you want to be able to also support and maybe even employ these people at some point in time.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Think big. Pluto in the 2nd house is also transforming your ability to envision what you're capable of. So the bigger you think, and face your fear around maybe not being enough or not doing enough or not having enough resources, the more that you face that and stare that down and conquer it, the more successful you'll be. You're a dragon. Come on, you're super powerful. So you can make stuff happen.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling in, and give us a shout again sometime, okay?
I will do. God bless you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Let's take one more call. Let's go to the 413, and then I'll wrap it up a little bit here, and I'll play you just a little bit of Spalding Gray, as I promised, for all you people who are patiently waiting to hear what I'm about to play. Hello there.
Hey, Robert, how are you?
I'm good. Who's this?
Well, okay, so I've never called into you before. I'm wondering what this whole water thing means to me. And my birthday is February 15th, 1966, and I was born at 11:43 a.m.
Okay, what's your name?
Corrine.
Corrine. All right. So you were born in February?
Yeah, February 15th.
1966.
Yes.
So was that before or after the new moon?
I have no idea. It's 11:43 in the morning.
Okay, I'll look it up. It's important, by the way.
Okay.
Because if it's before the new moon, I think it's probably after, but if it's before the new moon, you're a snake. If it's after, you're a fire horse.
I'm a fire horse.
Theoretically. Where were you born?
Springfield, Massachusetts.
Okay. All right. There it is. Okay, I have you Gemini rising with the moon in Capricorn. You might be a snake.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And the reason why I say that is because the way that the Chinese work this, it's always the first new moon in February. And you're just 2 days away from it being the new moon.
Okay.
So theoretically, you'd be a snake, which in some ways is actually pretty good because it's the year of the snake, right?
Right, okay.
And next year it would be, well, let's see. So next year would be the year of the horse. So you get it good both ways. All right, so let's look at your chart. You have a lot of water in your chart, obviously, right? I mean, we go up to your 10th house, and you've got Chiron in Pisces up there. You've got Saturn in Pisces. You have Mars in Pisces, and you have Mercury also in Pisces. And right now, Neptune is right on your Mercury. which is interesting. Are you having a lot of psychic activity in your life?
I would say, I'm always like hesitant to say yes,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but I just, everybody thinks they're psychic, and I know everyone's psychic to a certain degree, but it just bugs me,
Well, that's because you have a very pragmatic sun in some ways, the Aquarian sun, very objective. But, Mercury in Pisces I think that the psychic sort of abilities or flavors from the three water signs, which I believe are the most psychic of all the signs, are quite different. I think probably the most psychic in some ways is Scorpio, and the most kind of intuitive is Cancer, because Cancer is connected to this kind of somatic, feeling, nurturing, body awareness. Also, blending with the emotions, but Pisces is psychic, but it's different. It's kind of much bigger picture. It's also less controllable in a lot of ways. Like, Scorpio is very fixed and like, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna figure this shit out. I'm gonna, set my transmission and learn how to hone it, refine it. That's very Scorpionic. Whereas Pisces is like, it's not really like that. It's Pisces is like the Aeolian harp that gets played upon by the wind. That's what this Mercury is. And so the psychic function is much more up to the fates in some ways. So like when you're supposed to know it or when you need to know it and then sort through it. With Neptune on your Mercury, at the very least, there should be a time where you're feeling fairly inspired in some ways, because the Neptune in Pisces is extremely compassionate and really evolved and loving. And when it's on your Mercury, theoretically, you should be able to open up and be much more available for people in some ways, because it's the 10th house. Now, Neptune in the 10th house is kind of tricky because, I've seen a lot of Neptune transits, or I've seen people with Neptune on their midheaven, and it doesn't feel like, they don't feel like they're feeling anything. Like they're still searching for meaning or searching for purpose or searching for the thing to do. And what's really interesting is if you sit down and talk with them for a little bit, you ask them questions. Well, what do you do? Where do you do it? How do you do it? How often do you do it? Who are the people you do it with or for? How does it impact them? And all of a sudden, you put together like this dossier of what's really going on and what they're really doing. And they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. I am having an impact on people's lives. Or, I am making this Neptunian energy manifest in ways that I can't see. Because that's the mystery of Neptune, is not being able to see its own impact kind of in the chart or on one's life. So it's on your Mercury right now, and it's going to be there for a while, and eventually moves forward to Mars and Saturn and your Chiron, but that's a ways out. So the key for you is with Neptune on your Mercury, I think is important for you to get some kind of mirroring process where you can dialogue with somebody about your own life and your own achievements and your own accomplishments or lack thereof or whatever it is you're going through, so that you can get kind of a GPS on what you're doing. Because I think it's important for people that have that Neptunian experience in the 10th house to kind of be reminded of, and to have, to tug on their shirt and say, hey, you just did this. Did you understand that? Or did you realize it? No, I didn't. I was just doing it. Well, this is just what happened. So I think it's really important for you, and not to the extent that you have to be, what's the word I'm looking for, praised or recognized. It's really not about that. It's really just about having physical feedback from some other party to give you a sense as to really who you are and what you're doing in the world. I think that's really important. Saturn is going through your 12th house, so you've got your 6th house. So the 6th house, and that has to do with work as well. And Saturn is right at this point where it is trining your Mercury. So you've got a Saturn-Mercury trine, and then Saturn's trining Neptune also on your Mercury. It's the 6th house. So, anything having to do with helping people, serving people, making life better for people in some ways, but also being able to go deep, really deep, is highlighted. And you're going to have the Saturn-Neptune transits at the end of the year, beginning of next. I think that that's very, very powerful for you. And that gives you – the Saturn-Neptune transit, again, this is a generational thing. It's really about people understanding kind of what their spiritual legacy and point in time is. Like, how much time do we have left? What are we doing with our lives? What's it all about? What's the meaning? It's about redefining your spiritual purpose. And so Saturn in the 6th house, transiting Neptune already there, is about not only redefining your spiritual purpose, but also as it relates to what you do for your dharma, for your purpose, for money. That's a big thing, actually. So it's not bad, though. I mean, I think all this water in your chart is showing up in really wonderful places. You've got Jupiter transiting the 2nd house, just like I talked to the fellow from the Congo. That's about resources being unlocked and, coming into your life and bringing them in ways that are timely and you need them, and it supports you. And Jupiter, straight out of the gate, starting a few weeks from now, is going to be transiting it's going to be trining your Mercury up in the 10th house. Your Mercury-Jupiter trine. That's really good for using your wits, employing any kind of wisdom, vision, creative and intellectual inspiration to any kind of work you're doing. So innovation should be at the top of your list over the course of the next 3 weeks. Don't be afraid to get creative. Don't be afraid to think outside of the box. These are all very highly, highly, highly rewarded. Or do you do anything artistically?
Oh, yes, I'm a writer.
Yeah, there you go. That's the Jupiter-Mercury trine. It's like, wow, huge inspiration. And by the way, writing with Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Chiron, all up in the 10th house in Pisces, it's actually a very good profession for you. So you've chosen well. What kind of writing do you do?
Good, I'm not echoing. I write inspirational stuff and also horror-related.
Well, that's very Pisces, Pisces likes scary stuff.
Yeah.
That's a very Piscean kind of experience. So that's cool. And by the way, that also resonates with your ascendant, which is Gemini, and you've got Jupiter right there on your ascendant. And Jupiter, you just had your Jupiter return, which is cool. And Jupiter represents two different things, right? So you can be inspirational, and you can dip into the macabre or whatever and do horror stuff and keep it all together with the Jupiter on the ascendant. The self-help stuff or the inspirational stuff, I think, really picks up with this Saturn trine. Look, I see nothing but green grass and high tides in your future.
Oh, good, because Robert, I'm working on an inspirational book right now, and so anyways, that's really good to hear,
Yeah. Well, when you finish it and you want to promote it, just, come back on the show and tell me what you got, and we'll get you on here.
Oh, definitely. Okay, so that's perfect. I loved hearing everything you said, and I'm going to go back and listen to it too. But I will keep listening, and I'll click follow because I have never heard you before. So.
Well, how did you find out about the show?
It said water, and I said, oh.
All right. So I chose the right keyword today. Good for me.
Also, I thought your picture was kind of cute.
Well, I guess that always helps, huh? How do you know that's me, though? Right? I could have just found some cute picture somewhere.
Yeah, I know, really. Yeah. No, but I appreciate it, Robert. Thank you so much.
All right, Cream. Have a good day. Take care.
Hey, you too. Bye-bye.
All right, let's take one more. Let's go to the 604. Here we go.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. It's Charlene here.
Charlene, is that your name?
It is.
Okay, and where are you calling from?
British Columbia in Canada.
Oh, cool. Love that area up there.
Me too.
And we have a regular visitor to the chat room who lives up there on Vancouver Island.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm close. I'm close to Vancouver.
All right, great. You're not in Medicine Hat, are you?
No. That's in Alberta.
Oh, I don't know much about that. I've always should know.
It's a few hours. It would take a few hours to drive there or fly.
My favorite name is Chilliwack.
I'm close to Chilliwack.
Yeah, that was a town I was trying to think of. It was really funny because I'm still into music, but I remember back in the 70s.
Yes, they still perform. They still perform.
And I thought to myself, my God, that's the worst freaking name for a band I've ever heard, Chilliwack. And then I realized
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Then I realized that Chilliwack is actually a place, and they're from that place, and they're probably proud of that place, right? So
farming country, they do. But it's probably for lack of music. Look at the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's who'd have thought.
Yep, that's true. All right, let's get into you, Charlene. When's your birthday?
August 31st, 1962.
Okay. And what time was that?
6:50 p.m.
Okay. All right. And where?
Prince George, British Columbia.
Okay, there we go. All right. And hold on. All right, and off we go. Okay, I have you as Aquarius ascendant with a massive first house, moon in Virgo, right at the anaretic degree. So your moon is exactly conjunct the sun, and then sun in Virgo. Okay, so where do you want to steer this?
Well, there's a man I'm seeing, and my hope is that we're going to be, and then there's money issues too. But I'm hopeful that we'll be spending the rest of our lives together. I'm not clear. We've talked about it, but there are issues with my family, so I guess I'm trying to figure out is that something that feels like it's in the cards for us.
When's his birthday?
And I don't have his time of birth. He's April 2nd. April 3rd. April 3rd. Excuse me, 1972.
He's in
Winnipeg, Manitoba.
He's in Aries, which puts his April 2nd puts his sun right near.
April 3rd. Sorry, dear.
Okay. That's still going to put his sun right at your first, second house cusp. Is that him?
No. Sorry about that.
Would have been interesting, huh? So let's see. 1972, and you're 62. You're a tiger. He's a rat. I need to look at his chart just a little bit more. Hold on. Let me just go to the events. It's okay. Let me find it. Because I can't really base it on just his sun sign. Let's see.
It's such a science, huh? It's funny. It's such a complicated science.
On some level, some level it is. On another level, it's really just kind of like mixing and matching shapes. So 72, and that's April 3rd, you said?
Yes.
Okay. So he has, looks like he's got a moon in Sag, Mercury, Aries, Venus, Taurus, Mars in Gemini, Jupiter, Capricorn, Saturn, Gemini. Let me look at your chart. So what we want to look for is Saturn, Gemini. Where's that going to be? That's going to be in the 5th house. Mars, let's see. So that's 4 degrees, and Venus and Taurus at 29. Okay. So now we're starting to get somewhere a little bit here. I like the fact that his Venus is in an exact trine with your moon. Okay, I think that that's a really nice placement for two people wanting to share their time together. You've got Moon in Virgo at the 29th degree, so it's important for you to have really grounded relationships. Stability is really important with that 29th degree Virgo, and 29th degree Taurus can provide that. And in fact, you could actually provide stability for one another because that's the anaretic degree and for both of those planets, and that can be a little challenging. But I think you can actually be there for one another because of that in a very positive and supportive way. And then 2 degrees in terms of Gemini with Saturn, and that puts him in your 3rd house with that 2 degree Saturn. What I'm really looking for is anything in Cancer or latter degree Gemini. Let me just go back here. Do I see anything? Latter degree Gemini. Pluto in Libra, 0 degrees. Jupiter in Capricorn at 7. And that shows up for you in your 11th house. How long have you known this guy?
Oh, a dozen years easily.
Well, if you've known him for a dozen years,
Yeah.
I don't think he's going anywhere. And I think that this is. Oh, he's got his Jupiter is trine your sun. This is a really good relationship. This is a very, very good relationship.
Yeah.
And even though he has Aries energy, which isn't necessarily the same kind of energy as yours, you have kind of an interesting conjunction with Pluto and Uranus with your sun, and it gives you some intensity, and it gives you some real gravitas. And Aries tend to want to have their way, whether it's a male or a female. But I think you have a strong enough personality to stand up to an Aries male with the Pluto conjunction of your sun. You're a serious character, you're not to be trifled with. Also, you have Saturn conjunct in Aquarius, conjunct your ascendant, which trines your moon, gives you a lot of fortitude and a lot of endurance in terms of emotions. You're also more willing to hang in there with people that are a lot more different than who you are, people that come from a different background or a different culture or a different class or a different race. Saturn on your ascendant gives you the ability to do that and be kind of more socially and individually progressive on some level. The family piece, I see that in the 3rd house with Taurus. I think the thing with the family piece would be something along the lines of money or support in being judged of whether you would have enough or get enough.
Right.
And I wouldn't really worry about that. Let me just see what else here. When Jupiter goes into Cancer, it's going to conjunct your Mars. In fact, right now, Venus is it's about 3 degrees off of your Mars. So if you wanted to make any kind of formal declaration, the Venus-Mars conjunction would be really good. But also, Jupiter is going to be conjuncting your Mars, which is in the 5th house. And that would be an incredible time for you to make some kind of, for lack of a better term, stand, or to make some kind of declaration, or to do something that says to these people that he's not going anywhere. But the two of you would have to do it, though. It couldn't just be you.
He certainly expressed love for me. We've talked about marriage, and it took a while to get to that space. And obviously, if I've been seeing him so long, and I'm patient, and there's an incredible magic between the two of us. So, I don't think that happens every day.
Well, you sound lovely. What's he waiting for?
Yeah, I know. He's emotionally retarded a little.
Yeah, well, tell him that the astrologer that you talked to on the radio thinks that he'd be a fool to let you go and not make this the real deal.
I think he knows that, to be honest with you. You know that? He's cleaning up his act with his work stuff. He's just cleaning, and that's been a real headache for him. It's just about done, but it's almost like how long is his last act going to act or last for?
Well,
but I believe he's ready.
He does have Moon in Sagittarius, and Moon and Sag people tend to be a little emotionally restless. That's the only thing that he has that might keep him from, really, locking in and saying, hey, I want to do this. But other than that, I mean, I think it's great. I mean, I love the Venus Moon trine. So in 3 weeks, just circle that off in your calendar. In 3 weeks, 3 to 5 weeks, when Jupiter crosses that Mars, things should get very interesting between the two of you. Let's put it that way.
Good. I'm ready.
Not interesting in a bad way, by the way. Interesting in a good way.
I heard that. Yeah, it sounded like fun. It felt like empathically. It was like, yes.
Do you guys live together?
Not yet. There's been a lot of talk about, at the very least, trying. He gets afraid that I'll hate him because, he's an Aries and he is like, wow, it's my way. Here I am.
Yeah, I think that when Jupiter conjuncture Mars, that would be the time to sit down with each other and say, let's do this. Let's move in. We'll save money. We'll take care of each other. We'll have a lot of fun, And
so 3 to 5 weeks is when you're seeing them.
Yeah, I would say that would be the time to really table it, because it won't get any better than that for another 12 years. So.
Oh, yeah, he'll lose me if I have to wait that long.
Yeah, Jupiter conjunct Mars in your 5th house. Make it so.
Yeah.
And it's part of that water trine too that we've been talking about. You've got all these planets. Your natal Jupiter in Pisces, Chiron in Pisces, Neptune in Scorpio, Mars in Cancer. So you're playing right along with this water trine as well. So just get out your longboard and surf the big wave.
A lawnmower?
No, longboard. No, lawnmower.
Oh, longboard. Longboard. I've never. You know what? I've got so much respect for the ocean. It's it'll take your clothes off without it. It's big.
Yeah. No, this is just metaphorically speaking.
Yeah. I do love water immensely. That's my business. We can't live without it.
You're in the right business for sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Well, listen, call back sometime and invite us all to your housewarming party.
Ooh, that would be fun. Where are you located?
I'm in Texas.
Oh, okay. Well, how's the weather now?
Fantastic. It's great.
Is it?
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
The storms have settled?
Yes, they have. And, it's like if you don't like the weather here, just wait. It'll change.
It's been like that here, too, though. And you know what? And sorry, I'm going to just impose for a moment. But to me, it's like we're in bipolar times, right?
Yep.
Because the magnetic grid is having such a hard time stabilizing. And a lot of this is really impacting our bodies in a large way as well, which, of course, is why we're seeing such insanity. But the weather as well is just like, what the heck? So I think we're ascending on a deeper level. And it's not much we can do about it. We just have to hopefully grow through it and evolve. Does that read true for you?
I agree. I totally agree. And I was going to do a thing on bipolarity on my website and how it relates.
Were you? Do it.
It was, yeah. It was about how it relates to the kind of the time we're in. So, yeah.
Do it. If you follow Cryon at all, who's amazing, I would highly recommend doing it, because people need to understand that it's simple, because we're made mostly of water, so of course we're impacted, and of course it's impacting our brain as well, because the brain has a lot of water in it.
True.
And it is bipolar. So, what nutrients can we do, or what breathing techniques can we do to work through it and shift and ground that, so we're helping the planet as well as ourselves. But it depends on how much people care. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm totally imposing on your time.
That's
Thank
okay.
you.
That's okay. Well, listen, thank you for calling in, and have a great day up there in British Columbia.
I will. You as well. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so I'm going to play Spalding Gray. I'm sorry, 928. I know you're there. I see you, but I can't talk to you. But if you call back next week, I will talk with you. And if you want to set up a reading with me, you can do that at robertphoenix.com. So Spalding Gray was a spoken word artist and was a great inspiration to me. And I'm going to play 6 minutes as I close all these windows here. Click, click, click. I hate the clicking sound. I'm sure you can hear it, which doesn't make me happy. He was a spoken word artist, and as I mentioned before, also he wound up dying and being found, I think, in the bay there, Hudson Bay, I believe, New York City. Like he jumped off the Staten Island ferry or some crazy thing like that. So what I want to do is I want to find where I stuck him in all these tons of windows I have open here and just play 6 minutes of swimming to Cambodia, which I think would be fairly interesting for you people. If I can just find it. Oh, man. I'm addicted to keeping windows open. Hey, Friday, got an interesting show coming. I'm going to have Sarah Nash, the Cosmic Hooker. She'll be on with me, as she is every first Friday. And then I'm going to have Radchick, who is a YouTube star, and she provides some of the most up-to-the-minute information as it relates to Fukushima and radiation. And also John Trudell will be back again, giving us some updates around hemp. Okay, here we go. Swimming to Cambodia, Part 1. You can get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's all on here on YouTube. Here we go. Spalding Gray, God bless you.
Saturday, June 18th, 1983. Wahine, Gulf of Siam, Thailand. It was the first day off in a long time, and about 130 of us were trying to get a little rest and relaxation out by this pool at this very modern hotel that looks something like a very modern prison, something like the prisons people or private prisons people investing in here in the United States, a set of hotels, something like a pleasure prison. A kind of place, say if you were taking a trip to Bangkok and you took a side trip down to Wahine, you might come and stay at this hotel, but you probably wouldn't go off the grounds because of the high barbed wire fence around the hotel to keep you in and the bandits out. You probably wouldn't even go down to the Gulf of Siam because of the dogs, some of them rabid, that tend to intimidate you and drive you up against a wall until you learn to pick up a piece of seaweed, shake it in their face, and everything is hunky-dory. And it was the first day off in a long time, and the Thai waiters are running and smiling and bringing us more Kloster beer. Everyone is ordering the Kloster. No one is drinking the local beer, which is exported to the United States because they say it has formaldehyde in it. And the Thai waiters are running and jumping and smiling, and they can't get to us fast enough. And there's a saying that says the Thais are the nicest people money can buy. And it's not a silly smile. Deep smile, because they have a philosophy, sanug. Sanug, loosely translated, means fun, pleasure. And they don't do anything it isn't sanug. And they ask you first, and if it isn't sanug, they won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Also, another idea that may have to do with a rather radical Thai Buddhism, after they have the sanug, they don't have to suffer for it afterwards. And it was the first day off in a long time, and some of the British crew had the good sense or bad sense, depending on how you look at it, to buy women as soon as they arrived in Bangkok. I heard each man bought 2 so he wouldn't risk falling in love when it came time to leave. And there the crew were like these 250-pound beach whales out by the swimming pool just lying there with these skivvy little chickadees, 90-pound in from the country in 2-piece bathing suits, walking up and down in them, giving them shiatsu. And it was the first day off in a long time, and the Thai waiter is running to jump over hedges to bring us more Kloster beer, and all of a sudden the waiter trips, falls, the Kloster beers fall and explode on the cement by the pool, and the waiter looks up with a great smile and says, "Sorry, sir, We've just run out of plaster. And Ivan, devil in my ear, Ivan Strasberg, head of the second camera unit, a bit of a Mephistopheles figure, gray-beard, handsome man, South African, comes up to me and says, "Spalding man, hey, there's a party tonight up at the Gulf of Siam. One of the workers' mothers got a summer house up there. Hey, could I borrow your toenail clippers, man?" "Sure. Come on over. And do you want to smoke a Thai stick? Hey, should I bring some marijuana, man? Hey?" "Sure. Why not? I mean, it's a party. After all, I hadn't smoked any marijuana since I've been..." Look, every time I am in a country where the marijuana is supposed to be so good, you know, India, Mexico, Northern California, now Thailand, I always feel that I should try it, you know. Maybe this time it would be different. Maybe this time I would experience a sense of well-being, like everyone says they do, you know, a sense of rest and relaxation, be able to sleep even. You see, it tends to unlock my kundalini in the worst way. It gets stuck there in my lower chakra there, like a snake, like a fist, like a snake chasing its tail, like a Studebaker stuck in sand. But maybe I'll give it a try this time. I thought, no, wait a minute. I better speak with Renee first before I do it. Renee, my girlfriend, was over there visiting me for 14 days, and I had made a promise, a commitment, you see, to return, as soon as the film was over, to return to her, because we had rented a cabin for the summer in upstate New York, in Crumville, New York, you know, Krumville. And let me tell you, Crumville, New York was, let's say, looking